Hi DPS 5th graders, we are here to talk about lesson 3 of our essential question of how did cultural, political, and societal differences between the North and South lead to the United States Civil War. And today our learning target revolves around explaining the relationships between two or more concepts within a text. Of course, remember that you can pause and rewind as you need so that way you can have appropriate understanding and make sure that you're getting down all of the appropriate notes. And on that note, make sure that you have something to write on and write with. All right, so we know that we read to learn. Today we're going to be applying our learning target to our reading about the Wilmart Proviso together. So again, revisiting that political action from lesson 2. And then for your assignment, you're going to be reading to learn about the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which is another political event that led to the United States Civil War. We're going to be filling out this graphic organizer together. The text and the digital graphic organizer are linked in your Canvas module. So go ahead and make sure that you have paused and either have gotten this down on paper or that you have pulled up our digital one and are ready to go. And then we're also going to be reading this. Again, go ahead and pause and reread as you need. It's also linked down below. All right, so once we have ourselves all set up, let's go ahead and get started. So looking at that graphic organizer, we're going to start with the middle one. What is the Wilmart Proviso? Okay, so when I'm looking at this, what was the Wilmart Proviso? It was some legislation, that David Wilmart proposed that was trying to make sure that slavery or involuntary servitude did not exist in the lands won in the Mexican-American War. So that's what I'm putting right there. That's that middle column. That's what this is all talking about. And now we're going to go ahead and hit that learning target of explaining the relationships between this. So all of these relationships that we're looking at are all connected to that Wilmart Proviso. Okay, so let's start with the reasons for the Wilmart Proviso. Again, I'm going back to my text to go ahead and find this information. Well, what were some reasons for it? Well, they were about to win some lands won in the Mexican-American War. This was technically before the end of the Mexican-American War. The Mexican-American War technically ended in 1848, but things were looking up and they wanted to go ahead and plan for it. So that's why they were doing that. Also, this was proposed because the Wilmart and other northern states, remember we talked about this in lesson 2, were angered by President Polk. They felt like he wasn't keeping their best interest in mind. And then lastly, they wanted to make sure that citizens free white males, let's be very specific about what they meant by that, free white males from the northern states could work in those new states without the competition of slave labor. So let's go ahead and put that down. Again, I'm listing those reasons that are given. These reasons are connected to the Wilmart Proviso. If these had not happened, then the Wilmart Proviso would not have been needed. So that's one set of relationships that we're looking at. Again, remember to pause as you need to get this down, either on your paper or your digital graphic organizer. Now let's talk about the impact of it. Okay, so what was the impact of it? What happened because of Wilmart's Proviso? Kind of going into a little bit of cause and effect. Well, one is that Congress was really divided. And along these lines, it would never become law because of that division. Okay, so as I'm looking through here, I have that here. So Congress was divided. It never became law, and so slavery was allowed in the territories until further political acts. This is what you're going to be reading about today for your assignment. This is also one that we kind of inferred and took from this one as well. So it set into motion more political events that revolved around slavery and further divided party lines. Because this was so divisional, I had trouble saying that. Because it was so divisional, and it really brought into light this issue of slavery in the political sphere. Because remember, before then, people kind of were just letting it happen for what it was. So this really set into motion more of those political events, set into more of that cultural change that eventually led to the United States Civil War. So again, make sure that you've paused as you needed to get this all down. And then for your assignment, you're going to be completing a very similar graphic organizer, looking at the Kansas-Nebraska Act. And the graphic organizer and the text can be found on the next page in your Canvas module. So go ahead and head on over there.